Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Claire Allen. I am a senior lecturer at the University of Northampton and I'm a lecturer in English literature. And we're here today just to talk to you about the course, about what it's like studying English literature. And I'm really lucky and excited to be joined by one of our first year undergraduate students, Ruby Brouard. And Ruby is currently just finishing up the first year of her degree at the university and about to start her second year. So hi Ruby, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to have finished and even more excited to be starting second year.
Cool, brilliant, thank you. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about what the course is like? So what is the course that you're doing? What sort of things are you studying on it?
Okay, so the course covers all areas of English. We do fiction, we do bits of non-fiction, creative writing. Yeah.
Brilliant, great. And so obviously I can see from the books behind you, you've clearly got a massive passion for literature, as have I. We've got lots of books on these bookshelves. Why have you chosen to study English at university then?
I think I've always had a passion for reading, of course, but I don't know. But I think it's nice to be able to invest in a passion and really work hard at the things you love. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, that's great. That's great to hear. So obviously it's a passion, it's an interest for you. That's kind of why you're doing English. So what did you do before you got to university then? So what did you study at your A levels, for example?
Yeah, so A level I did English literature, I did history and psychology.
Okay, brilliant. And have they helped you? I mean, obviously the English literature seems to be kind of quite a clear link. What about the other A levels? Do you think they kind of helped you feed into kind of what you've been doing at university?
Yeah, absolutely. I've just written a Shakespeare essay talking about Freudian perspectives in Shakespearean literature, and history, of course, plays into everything with context, especially Shakespeare again. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's research skills as well, I guess, and there's writing skills that you've been developing from your A levels. Okay, brilliant. So you've given us a little bit of a hint about kind of what the course covers. So obviously, what we hope by the time you finished your English degree is that you've got a really good knowledge of all the key literary periods. So we look at all the key literary movements. We'll also look at some theory. There's some creative writing and there's some language study. But can you just give us a little bit of more detail of kind of what your first year is like? So what are the modules that you're doing on first year and kind of what sort of things are you covering on those modules?
Yeah, so we studied language and creative writing. We did 20th century literature, Shakespeare and American literature.
Okay, brilliant. So that sounds like you're kind of starting to get a real breadth then, aren't you? Kind of you're doing a lot of introductory modules, I guess, in your first year and just kind of starting to get a breadth of knowledge about lots of different kind of ways of studying literature. So thinking about the language as well as thinking about kind of the genres and the different forms, and then kind of looking perhaps at different kind of nations through looking at American literature as well as those different periods with the 20th century. What do you think has been a highlight for you from first year?
I think personally I enjoyed 20th century and I enjoyed American literature. I think they fed in quite well to each other.
Yeah, and I think in both of those modules we've been looking at things that are very relevant, aren't we, to now? So we've been thinking about kind of lots of gender issues, issues around class, and of course actually with the American literature in particular we've been thinking about kind of slavery and learn about the history of slavery, and of course in recent times that just kind of seems so important that we're aware of that, and I think exploring those texts maybe has helped us to kind of appreciate a little bit about what's been happening with those movements and those political issues a little bit more keenly. So sounds like you kind of had a nice start in your first year. What are you looking forward to in second and third then? What's kind of coming up? What's on the horizon?
I am looking forward to optional modules next year. So I picked children's literature, American literature again, and creative non-fiction. And in terms of third year, I'm really excited to start reading around dissertation topics.
Okay, great. Have you got an idea for that dissertation yet? What are you going to be looking at?
I think something 20th century. I do. Maybe American as well. Those are the things that I really like to read. Something again around race, sex, and things like that.
Yeah, okay, good. So you're already looking forward to kind of that big project, your dissertation, that big project at the end, and then kind of using your first and your second year to inspire you. That's really great to hear. So can you tell us a little bit about how we teach you on your degree? So one of the things that we often talk about at the University of Northampton is ABL, or Active Blended Learning. Could you just explain to people that don't know what that means and what that is?
Yeah, so ABL is when we do lectures online, and it's still as collaborative as lessons. I think online we'll often have discussions in the chats and activities to do, opinions, message boards, things like that. Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
So we kind of give you stuff to do in advance, maybe have a look at something, write something up, and then we kind of have a chat about it online. And particularly, I guess, in recent times, a lot of learning has gone online. So we've kind of been able to utilise some of those tools that we've always been using in this kind of very worrying period with the COVID stuff. So we kind of transitioned onto that. Okay, great. And do you like it? Do you like ABL? Does it work?
Yeah, I think particularly recently it's been a godsend. It's just enabled our students to have regular contact with lecturers and to have discussions about things that we should have been doing face to face. It's really it's provided continuity, and it was really helpful, especially with end of year assignments and things.
Great, that's really good to hear that you don't feel like you've missed out too much, and that we've kind of had those tools in place and you kind of had an easy transition. That's lovely to hear. Okay, so let's kind of think about the future a bit then. So obviously you've kind of said what you've been enjoying on the course so far. What do you think you're going to do in the future? So kind of what are you going to do after uni? Why this degree, and kind of what's that going to lead you to for the rest of your life?
I think what's brilliant about an English degree is that you can do anything with it. There are so many career paths that you can go into. I'd like to do a master's. I'm lucky that the master's we do here is 20th century. I think that's what's next for me. But yeah, no, I mean, there are so many career paths: teaching, journalism, publishing. There's so much you can do.
Good, yeah, and I think at the moment it's good, it's great that you're thinking of further study, but it's about keeping your options open, isn't it, for you at the minute? Then actually you kind of, like you say, there's so many things you can then go into with an English degree, so that's great to hear. Okay, so let's kind of take a step back then. So that's kind of looking forward for you, but what about for people who are just starting out on this kind of process? So maybe people choosing their A levels, or maybe choosing their university courses at the moment, or just signing up for first year. Kind of what advice might you give them?
I think read as much as you can, read around the subject. Hopefully you're picking English and you enjoy reading, so it should come easily. I think plan when it comes to essays, and whilst you're reading, be thinking about how you're going to use it, what text you're going to want to be looking at, and yeah, I think planning is really important.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think organisation and planning and kind of just kind of thinking clearly about what you want to do and where you want to go with it is really important, even at those early stages of reading. Excellent advice. Time management and organisation, I think, definitely are really good pieces of advice there. Okay, so how have your studies gone so far? Because obviously it's a really big transition, isn't it, from kind of school or college background to university. So can you just talk us through, what's that transition been like for you? Have you felt supported through that? Kind of what support's been available for you?
Yeah, I think personally I found A levels challenging, but I think the transition to university has been really guided by support. I think especially having a personal tutor and module tutors that are specific, I think has really helped. The support is definitely there. I needed it, and I was helped. Yeah, I think personal tutor meetings as a group and one-on-one, they're helpful. And also essay feedback. I think it's really important that when you get a grade back, that you can sit down with a tutor and say, what did I do well? How can I improve this grade? And tutors are always there to help. They are.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It can be quite daunting, can't it, to kind of, I remember getting my essays back, and you don't want to look at the feedback, you don't want to look at all those comments, because it can be hard, but hopefully we see that as kind of a conversation, and you certainly come and you have a chat with us about it, so that's really good. What about kind of, I mean, obviously if you come to the University of Northampton, you see we've got the Learning Hub, and it's like a whole building that's basically a library. How have you managed to kind of get used to those academic skills and the library that you need? Because there's a slight difference, isn't there, between A levels, I think, and university. I mean, was that difficult to manage? How did you get on with that?
Yeah, I think at Northampton we're really lucky. We have a big library spanning loads of floors, so it's really easily accessible. And I think Nelson Online, so using the online library is really helpful as well. You don't have to be there in person, especially throughout all of this. Using Nelson to find text, and there are loads on there, has been really helpful.
Okay, brilliant. So that's really good. So it's a bit daunting perhaps at first, but actually you find that support's been there, and it sounds like you've taken to it quite easily actually, and you've managed to negotiate your way through, so that's really good. Okay, so let's think next. Obviously we can tell you've got a passion for English, we can tell that kind of that's sort of the direction that you want to go in, but there's so many English courses out there, so why did you choose English at Northampton?
Yeah, I think Northampton has a really special literary past anyway, with people like John Clare. And I mean, I came to an open day, had a tour, and it just felt right. And especially with English, we have smaller classes which enable loads of discussion, which I find so helpful in terms of learning. I think, like we touched on earlier, the course is so wide spanning. It covers so many movements, it covers so much time. I think it really gives a holistic view of the subject. It's really nice.
Brilliant, and that was really important too. I think that's so right, isn't it? That's advice I always give. Go to open days, and obviously they're virtual at the moment, but you'll get a feel, you'll meet us online or whatever, and I think you just get a feel for the place, and I think that's kind of, it sounds very airy-fairy, doesn't it, but it is about kind of just that connection, or that feeling. Okay, so one last question then. What's your favourite thing, what's the best thing about studying English at the University of Northampton?
I think how dedicated tutors are, honestly. I think we're so lucky to be taught by people who love the subject. And that's displayed through, we've been on trips. We went to go and see Endgames, Daniel Beckett's play at the Old Vic in London. We went to see Monster Calls, and we've got the English and Creative Writing Society. There's such a community, I think, within the English department. It's special. It sounds cheesy, but I think it's special.
Oh, that's great to hear. And yeah, we love going on those outings, and we kind of go to the theatre as much as possible, which obviously at the moment we're all missing, but hopefully we'll all get back there soon. So that'll be good. Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much, Ruby. Lovely to speak to you. Bye.
Bye.